Are you looking for better shooting experience? How about a facility where you can shoot all of your firearms in the same day, where you can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, and practice your rifle work up to 600 yards? Shoot a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. You can do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, president of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you love the outdoors, you'll want to know all about Northern Illinois' largest outdoor shooting facility, the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you're a novice looking for a basic course, an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, or perhaps you want to participate in your favorite shooting event, or just spend an enjoyable day with the family, the Aurora Sportsman's Club is the only shooting facility in the region that offers all that and more. Interested? Then you won't want to miss the next orientation and tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Call, email, or visit our website today to find out how you can become part of a better shooting experience at the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois.
He is the human Molotov cocktail that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them.
So we're going to create a new government that serves you, your family, and your country. It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues, here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David's rant of the week is it time to repeal the Second Amendment? With David and Gretchen talking about more gun control. Then, what would the removal of all guns look like if the Second Amendment were abolished? And, go ahead, millennials, destroy us. See how that works out. Then, the New York Times changes its tune on Sweden, and Delta Airlines caves to the online mob. Could this be their costliest virtue signal ever? All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So give us a call at 815-205-1584. That's 815-205-1584. Or go to Facebook, like our page On Target Radio, and ask a question or make a comment there.
Today's Rant of the Week and more of David's work can be found at bearingarms.com. And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's David's Rant of the Week.
Law-abiding John Q. Public, the owner of over 350 million firearms, is rightfully concerned by the most recent spate of liberals frothing at the mouth, demanding the repeal of the Second Amendment. It is incomprehensible to those of us who work for a living, love our country, and cling to Bibles and guns that anyone could be so naive about gun ownership. Astoundingly, there are those who think the Constitution is outdated and very specifically intend to have the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, revoked. They are, for the most part, spoiled, overindulgent, ignorant children who have the nasty habit of making threats they lack the capability of implementing. They are loud primarily because they have the liberal press as their megaphone, and they're well funded by the likes of George Soros and Michael Bloomberg. What is clear is politicians are, for the most part, afraid of their own shadows. Note the difference between the average Republican in Congress today and the average NRA instructor. The politicians are cowering in the halls of Congress as these misguided but well-funded children rant about more gun control, the elimination of the Second Amendment, and even the Constitution itself. Republicans, who control the House, the Senate, and the presidency, feel the need to compromise with the minority Democrats and institute more gun control. Seriously, we elected these idiots, gave them the majority of everything, and they can't stand on their own 2 feet. On the other hand, an increasing number of NRA instructors are getting hate calls from the little darlings, blaming them for being responsible for killing children and causing violence all over the country. The NRA instructors' responses have principally been along the lines of Molan Neve. Come and get it. The true irony is these spoiled brats aren't intelligent enough to see that they are the intolerant perpetrators of violence. The kids are merely unwitting pawns in the far larger and darker agenda put forth by Soros, Bloomberg, and the other New World Order treasonous intellectuals. They openly support and encourage the children's violent behavior. In a New York Times article titled, "Go Ahead, Millennials, Destroy Us," Tim Kreider offers this thought to millennials. Go get us. Take us down. I, for one, can't wait till we're gone. I just wish I could live to see the world without us. And what would it mean if we did eliminate the Constitution? Loss of freedom of the press, so John Q. would have no idea what was happening. Loss of freedom of speech, so you speak your mind and risk political repercussions. The cessation of organized religion, the inability to gather publicly and air your grievances. Loss of personal privacy, with the government able to search you and your home unfettered. And the loss of your ability to defend your family and your home. The fact is, eliminating the Second Amendment, let alone the entire Constitution, would be close to impossible. Article 5 of the Constitution says amendments may be proposed either by the Congress, with a 2/3 vote in both the House of Representatives and the Senate, or by a convention of states called for by 2/3 of the state legislatures. To become part of the Constitution, an amendment must be ratified by either, as determined by Congress, the legislatures of 3/4 of the states, or state ratifying conventions in 3/4 of the states. Not likely. But what if it did happen? Exactly who is going to go door to door and say, hand over your guns? 5 times in my life, I've taken an oath swearing, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter, so help me God. 5 times I've taken that oath, and not once has anyone told me that any of those 5 oaths have been canceled. You have hundreds of thousands of prior and current military and law enforcement personnel who have sworn to uphold the Constitution, including the Bill of Rights. So who exactly are they going to get to go door to door? Would it be justice if they sent the snowflakes to try to confiscate 350 million firearms? Oh yeah, I could definitely get into that. And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the snowflakes would do if they were told it was their responsibility. You're the one so hell-bent on taking the guns away. Go take the guns away.
Have at it. Yeah. Step inside. I have a safe space for you.
Have fun with that, snowflake.
Yeah, it's they're letting Congress literally is buckling to children. Mm-hmm. Literally, I mean that's what's happening. They're being well funded by Soros, and they're.
Do you think Congress? Are they actually doing anything though?
Well, right now, on the legislature is a bill to ban all semi-automatic firearms. They're calling it the assault weapon ban, but when you read the thing, it includes anything, basically shotguns, whatever. Most of everything we own.
In Congress?
Yeah, U.S. Congress. Now, see, I talked to Todd about this. I said, what do you think that? He goes, I'm not worried about that. We have the House, we have the Senate, we have the presidency. I go, okay, yeah. Well, so what's going to stop them from doing it? I mean, how many things did those people run on that say they were going to do, mm-hmm. and they haven't done?
Right.
They gave the Democrats the budget they wanted, basically. Basically. Yeah, they gave them a lot of stuff. They gave in a lot of stuff. They gave
them some stuff.
Yes, some. Why did they give them anything? We control every facet of the government.
I don't know.
Because would the Democrats ever do that for the Republicans?
No.
Could we have soup for lunch? Piss off! Right? Right. I mean, realistically, the Democrats roll over Republicans like steamrollers every time they get a chance.
Right.
And if we so much as stick a pinprick in their finger, oh, it's unfair.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why the Republicans are apparently afraid to be labeled the bad guys. It's like
we won't vote for them because they wouldn't buckle.
That's what we hired them to do, is go be the bad guys.
Right. Well, actually, we hired them to go be the heroes. Really?
Well, to us, but
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
As far as standing up to the Democrats, and the Democrats going, look at these horrible people. They want to, take away people's reproductive rights, and all these other euphemistic things that I can barely even stomach saying.
I got to say something. This probably isn't going to be real popular with conservatives. I'm beginning to think abortion's a good deal, because typically conservatives aren't getting them. It's liberals that get them.
Well,
I think they ought to just, outfund them. Hey, really, realistically,
I have some background information, which I am not going to share right now, but maybe on the break. But, the problem, some conservatives do.
I'm not saying nobody does.
There are people who are married, they already have kids, and they're like, I just can't see having any more.
Maybe you should have done something beforehand.
Well, yeah.
Stuff it somewhere else. But the point is this. It tends to be, when you go to a Planned Parenthood, you don't find a lot of, Trump buttons.
No.
Okay? So all I'm saying is, realistically, I think most of the people, and I've never been in one, but I think most of the people who are going there are probably liberals.
But how many people do we know that have liberal parents, but they themselves are conservatives? Just because you come from liberal parents doesn't mean you aren't liberal.
Oh, no, I didn't say that. I just said I think most people who go to Planned Parenthood.
No, but I'm saying if you abort the next generation, I mean, they could end up to be conservatives. You don't know that. I'm saying just because the parents are liberals doesn't mean the kids will be liberals.
Well, and
that's a horrible thing to say.
That's true. Okay, I'll say that's true. But think about it this way: you would really cut out a lot of problems if, there weren't people left. Well, I mean, realistically, who was it nutball woman who seriously said, we should extinguish all human beings? I forget what it was. She wrote a book something about planet Earth. Earth would be better off without people.
It was probably it might not have been published by Audubon Society, but Audubon Society's big into population control.
Well, this was population control, as in zero. And here's my first thought when I read that is...
Let's start with you.
Well, no, my first thought when I read it is if they did that, who would know that it worked?
Right.
I mean, would be nobody left. Right.
Well, I don't know why she doesn't commit suicide is what I'm saying.
And that was the second thing that occurred to me. If that's true, why don't you just off yourself now?
Yeah, it's like, go ahead.
Yeah. I'll loan you a round.
Be my guest, yeah.
I got a round or two if I can spare. No, this whole thing is ridiculous. These are a bunch of... And, there was some kid that rose to the top of that group, and everyone said he was funded, and who knows for sure if it's true or not. But what is true is they're kids. Their brains aren't fully formed. They don't know what the heck they're doing, and Congress is listening to them. So when we come back, we're going to tell Congress what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where to go?
We'll come back with that and more just obtuse ideas from On Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
Do you dread writing? Is it challenging to find just the right words to get your point across? Do you put off developing marketing materials because you just don't know where to start? You get one chance to make a first impression, and my editor, Creative Business Services, can help make it a strong, positive one. Hi, this is Gretchen Fritz, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to tell you about My Editor, a business I started to help you overcome those concerns. What you're experiencing is very common. My Editor has helped business owners, candidates for political office, and even authors and public speakers. At My Editor Creative Business Services, we can simply edit your existing work or help you develop an entire writing plan of action from initial project design through final copy. We are easy to work with and will help you get your point across in the most effective manner. If words escape you, send me an email at myeditor@mail.com. Use my editor, Creative Business Services, and go to print with confidence. That's my editor at mail.com or find us on Facebook.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
The article in the Times by Kreider, "Go Ahead, Millennials Destroy Us." The guy's kind of a nutball, but he does say something that is really reasonably profound. Anyway, it says, like most people in middle age, I regard young people with suspicion. The young and the young at mind tend to be uncompromising absolutists. They haven't yet faced life's heartless compromises and forfeitures, its countless trials by boredom and ethical Kobayashi Marus, or glumly watch themselves do everything they ever disapproved of. And that really is true. Young people, across the board, for the most part, young people are literally absolutists. They just see black and white.
Well, yeah, you haven't lived long enough to understand that that's not realistic.
Exactly. And so these are the people that are dictating we shouldn't have the Second Amendment, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that, because they don't see anything other than what somebody has told them. Mm-hmm. And they take that at face value.
Or, judging information, like you give them a piece of information and they just judge it on face value.
Right.
And in a very black and white sort of,
exactly.
Way of thinking. And so, yeah, it's absolutely true. I like what he says that, he says, anyone who has ever tried to argue with adolescents knows that in the end, they will have 1,000 times more energy for that fight than you, and a bottomless reservoir of moral rage that you burned out long ago.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And they point out, and it's true, it says young people have only just learned that the world is an unfair hierarchy of cruelty and greed, and it still shocks and outrages them, and that's true. We always say this, but it really is true. If you're not liberal at 21, mm-hmm. you have no heart.
Right.
If you're not a conservative at 30, you have no brain.
Right.
They haven't gone through enough pain, really, and enough suffering to say, well, now wait a minute. Maybe we don't draw the line in the sand here. Maybe we have a little compromise here, to make things work out. They don't get that. They just see X. They see cause and effect. That's literally what they do, cause and effect, with no shades in between the two, which is why you can't be 16 and be in the U.S. Senate or in the Congress.
Right. Well, and he also says the flaws of youth, its ignorance, naivete, and passionate idealism are also its strengths. Revolutions have always been driven by the young, which is very true.
It's pretty much true.
It's very true.
Wars are fought by young, because the older people are like, I don't think so. Let's go kill those people. Okay, saddle up. No,
how about you?
Yeah, it's some kid.
Can you just handle it?
Kids are a renewable resource. You clip them young. It's fine. Get another one. And then he makes this comment. He says, I've come to the conclusion that America has always been a violent nation, from our founding genocide to the slave labor that built the country to the arsenal unprecedented in human history that maintains our empire. We spend this part is true. We spend $60 billion a year on pets, but won't go to any inconvenience to help second graders from getting slaughtered. That there is an element of truth to that. But it's also, when we talk about second graders from getting slaughtered, we could also throw in, abortions. They're not doing much in that regard either. Mm-hmm. But they don't see that. Well, that's different. That's a right.
Did you see the video this week? Some snowflake was saying that it's okay to kill a fetus because it's not sentient.
Yeah,
he just kept going.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Ben Shapiro or somebody was trying to argue him down, and he kept going, no. All
I got to do is look at a mammogram.
Yeah.
And the little thing is...
Right. Or,
come
right,
on,
exactly. Or
yeah.
Stimulate it somehow, and you'll get a reaction. Yeah, it's really disgusting. It's really disgusting to me that we've been able to prove that at 20 weeks in utero, a baby can feel pain.
And if they do,
if they do surgery, in utero. They give them anesthesia.
Yeah.
But yet you can just still slaughter them.
Well, what about partial birth abortion?
Wantonly. Duh. I don't even like thinking about that.
Having delivered 2 babies in my life, I can't even wrap my brain around the concept of that.
No, I can't either.
As a kid.
I can't understand how any human being could do that procedure at all.
Because they don't.
Because
care.
it's a human being.
They don't care.
I mean, all of those people are sick in their heads and they should be locked up because they're murderers.
There's no God. They have nothing to higher level to answer to.
Right.
They are self-indulgent. Now look, everybody to some degree is self-indulgent. Everybody.
Okay.
Is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody is. But at some
Everybody's
point,
egocentric.
right? But at some point, you say, well, there's limits to this. You
Yeah.
can only go so far, and then it's getting over the top. And that limit varies from person to person and what they do.
Okay.
But the religion of liberalism is, I'm more important than anyone else in the world. And they're totally self-indulgent. That's where all this nonsense comes about, safe spaces, and you can't say certain words because it offends me. How can you expect to have a population that will ever become brain surgeons and lawyers and stuff when there are no winners and there's no losers?
I know.
Everybody gets a certificate.
People my age and a little bit younger than me who, like you were saying the other day, when we get old and we need brain surgeons and, heart surgeons.
Who's going to do it?
And things like that. Yeah, there's not going to be anybody
right.
for us. You're totally screwed.
Yeah, but there's really, fortunately, there are people, young people, usually from out of this country, but there are young people who, you take Asians and Chinese in particular, getting a B in college that's a horror story.
Oh yeah,
that's failure. That's unacceptable to their family.
It's tantamount to failure. Yeah.
Right, it's just unacceptable. So and which is ironic because the Chinese have a sort of, I won't say amoral existence, but they're more status than they are individual, and yet even those people look at education and their future and they go, oh, yeah, you got to work your ass off, period, and they do. Mm-hmm. They come to our universities, and I don't have any problem with that because they pay, but they come to our universities and they make us look like clowns. Mm-hmm. While we're out partying on Friday night, drunken fraternity parties, they're studying.
Right.
When they're sleeping off a hangover, they're studying. I mean, they get it. And we used to get it. Mm-hmm. We used to get it, and we don't anymore. Thank God that there are some people who do, but by and large, we don't anymore. And that's, I don't know, that's a bad thing. Nuns have basically all gone by the wayside. Nuns were the arbiter of the line. You did something they didn't like, they just belted you. People who went to Catholic school make a little more of that, because it's kind of, what word do I want? It's like a badge of honor. Wow, I went to Catholic school.
Well, it's kind of like being in a fraternity. It's like being hazed and then admitted into a fraternity.
And then stick up for it.
It's something that bonds you together for the rest of your life.
Exactly. And so the nuns never really beat the crap out of you, but they would.
Oh, I know. The nuns I worked for, they used to be really defensive about that. They're like, we never did that.
No, and they really didn't. But they would come up and they'd finger behind your, they do that, or they'd whack you with a ruler or something, And over the years, those stories got bigger and bigger and bigger. Oh, I remember a time a nun stripped me naked and beat me with a crotch. And that didn't happen. But they were very strict. You towed the line. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. And your parents would not bail you out.
Right.
If they found out.
I think that's probably really the linchpin of the whole thing, is that your parents were going to back up the authority figure at the school.
And it happened in public schools, too, realistically.
Oh, yeah,
it
absolutely.
happened in public schools, too.
Yeah, my dad told stories about that the teacher or the principal would call home and say, little Rourke did such and such,
Yeah.
And Mom would say, paddle him.
Yeah. Or they would say, you will come to my office and pick up your son or your daughter. You will come to my, and
Right.
they would go, okay. Because they remember when they were kids.
But I mean, essentially, they were asking for permission. They were asking the parent, what do you want me to do here? And she's like, well, if he did that at home, I'd spank him. So go for it.
Have at it. Yeah. Now they sue you.
Oh yeah.
You can't touch them.
Oh yeah. I know somebody who not even hard, but like grabbed a kid's arm one time. Oh, it was the end of the frickin' world.
Yeah, you can't do that. It's a terrible thing.
She almost lost her frickin' job.
Yeah. On the other hand, it's okay to, like, sleep with your 9-year-old students as long as you're feeling in touch with your feminine side. That's okay. I mean, it's insanity. It's like topsy-turvy. It's total insanity. I don't understand it. Child abuse, if scheduled in the right manner, is okay. What kind of logic is that?
Yeah.
I don't know. You listen to these people, and then they take the high road in their mind.
Oh yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
So high.
They go, well, you are no good. Well, why? Because I don't like piddle little kids? How am I not any good? I don't share rooms. I don't go into girls' locker rooms. Give me a break. And they say there's nothing to worry about. How many times have they already caught kids with cameras over the top of things? Boys. Have you read about those?
Are you talking about the Target?
No, I'm talking, well, I don't know. There's been in a bunch of places.
There have been peeping Toms in Target.
So boys go into the women's locker rooms or whatever it is, and they'll have like an iPhone or a camera or something, and they'll like go over to the top and they'll put it down and they'll take, well, it's not a problem. He's in touch with his feminine side. Well, then he's a lesbian, but in any case, he's still screwing around.
Right.
You know?
Still peeping.
Exactly.
Still a peeping Tom.
I don't understand how they get away with this stuff. But that's what undermines us. No moral code at all. And, I'm the last person to suggest that everyone should wear lace. I mean, okay, people are people. They do stuff, and sometimes they're not proud of it, but they do what they do. But liberalism is like so far over the top. Kid's inconvenient, kill it. That's fine. It's not a problem. I mean, they just... And so how do you expect that they will follow any kind of law if they have that attitude? If it's not convenient, do it. Look, if the Constitution is not convenient, we've got to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. There's a few people that don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, this article from, I never heard of Quora, but...
It's interesting. I just started getting it.
I don't know if it's conservative or liberal. But this particular piece is conservative. And, basically they're saying that you can't abolish the Second Amendment. And even if you did, you couldn't take the guns away from the people who have them. The Second Amendment has been affirmed as far back as 1876 in United States versus Khrushchev, and there's no name on this, but it says to abrogate the Second Amendment is to destroy the legal and moral foundations of the Constitution as a whole, and that is the underpinnings of our entire society.
Numerous times we have said that the thing that makes laws work is the fact that you report to a higher power. There aren't enough law enforcement people ever to enforce the laws.
It's voluntary compliance.
Exactly.
We rely on voluntary compliance.
And that relies on the fact that you think there's something more important in the world than you. Mm-hmm. And that's what it sort of started with Madalyn Murray O'Hair. I mean, it was going on before, but she was sort of like the big iconic figure that
she was one of the first.
Really got it rolling.
Well, even I mean, you can point to people with no morality.
Sanger. What's her name?
I was going to say Margaret Sanger was back in like the 1920s, and that was farther back than what's her face, but. Yeah, I mean, it goes back a long way.
It does. Anyway, we're going to take a break. You got something when we come back? What are we going into? 3 and 4? 3. Oh, you're coming back. He's coming back. We'll be back with him, Eric, and more on Target Radio. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to offer you a partnership opportunity. For over 4 years, On Target Radio covered the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech on AM 560 The Answer. But a 1-minute commercial was $200, making it tough to find enough sponsors. So last November, we left AM 560 and began podcasting. There's a learning curve to podcasting, and we've worked through the kinks and would now like to make you an offer. You can have a 60-second audio or video commercial for as little as $25 a week. We can also offer fellow conservatives their own radio or video podcast for as little as $100 a week with equipment and technical personnel included. You provide the content and host, plus get 6 free minutes of commercial time you can sell yourself. If you'd like to be an On Target Radio sponsor or explore the possibility of having your own show, call me at 815-741-3474, and let's explore the possibilities together.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
This segment is brought to you by the Will County Grassroots Division of the Illinois State Rifle Association. Join like-minded friends supporting the right to keep and bear arms in Illinois at 7 p.m. on the third Wednesday of the month at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois.
Our next speaker at the ISRA Grassroots in Will County is going to be John Fairman. I'm on his election committee. John is running for sheriff of Cook County against Tom Dart. The interesting thing about John is he's a black gentleman. He's a criminal defense attorney. He was born and raised in Texas. And John believes in the Second Amendment. He's going to run as an independent, really nice guy, like him a lot. And there'll be an article in The Shooter. I wrote about 1,000-word article on him. And he's quoted, I quoted him as saying, "No law-abiding concealed carry holder should fear coming into Cook County. And under my reign, they will not have to." So, interesting guy. So we're going to have him, he's going to be at the Will County Grassroots, and he's going to do the one in Midlothian and the one in wherever.
South Suburban.
Yeah, he's going to make the rounds and do them all. So
Good.
Yeah, interesting guy.
Good.
Speaking of Illinois, and by the way, if he gets elected, he would be the first black sheriff in a county that's about 48% color. You'd think at some point along the way, you know. So we'll see what happens. The state of Illinois, you know, I was early. God, it was earlier this week, wasn't it? It was Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, it was
Seems
Wednesday.
like-
It was actually Wednesday.
Wednesday. It seems like
most of the crap happened on Wednesday.
But I was down there on Tuesday.
What?
Yeah, vote.
Oh,
came.
okay.
Someone went on the
You're
floor.
right. You're
Yeah.
right.
So I flew down with Dan, who is president of Maxon, but he's also, they have a new federal firearm license organization that Todd Vandermeid is now the executive director and lobbyist for it. And we flew down in Dan's airplane. He's got a moon. He's got this really fast Mooney. It's cool. He's got it all decked out, you know, electronic panel and stuff. And I told you, coming home from Springfield to we landed. He dropped me off in Romeoville at Lewis Airport. Was 37 minutes. I mean, it's like I'm looking at the ground and the ground go, you know, it just greased lightning. But I was down all day with Todd, and we must have hit 35, 40, 50 people. And I've never realized how chaotic it is. I mean, truly, truly chaotic, because everybody's in motion. It's not like you can just go to an office and find somebody. Yeah. I tried to look up Margot, who was actually in her office, but she was in a meeting. The door was closed, so I didn't bother her. But, you know, we found Batnick was in his office. We got him in his office. Well, we're catching people in the hallways, once in the John, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, and you just beat on them wherever you find them. People, and I've always known this, but seeing it up close and personal, actually talking to people and lobbying, it's horse trading. It literally is horse trading. So there's like 4 bills that were out. There was the gun dealer bill. There was the bump stock. There was the 821 thing. There was you can't raffle firearms off to raise money. So there were a number of things, and it's literally horse trading. I can tell you right now, unequivocally, bump stocks are out. They're going to go.
Yeah, I think so too.
No question about it.
That's what it looks like to me too.
Well, basically, what everybody was saying was, you know, you got a horse trade because the Democrats control. And if they really want to, they can just snowball you and walk right over you. Now, the Southern Democrats are pro-Second Amendment, but what's his name? He sponsored really good guy. He sponsored the concealed carry bill, the Democrat down south. I can't think of his name. I know him. Anyway, he retired from Congress, and now he's a lobbyist. So he was the big kingpin of the Southern Democrats that really spearheaded, the pro-Second Amendment thing. Now, there's still pro-Second Amendment guys down there. But the problem is, the thing that people don't understand is this. Like when the ISRA put forth originally that bump stock bill, what people don't wrap their brain around is everything is smoke and mirrors.
That was gamesmanship.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's the theater of the absurd. So what literally happened was there was a bill that was proposed by Madigan, basically, which was really, it wasn't just bump stocks. It was an ugly bill. Well, Democrats can't not vote for that. They can't vote against it if they didn't do something. You know what I'm saying? So ISRA found, I forget her name, but a woman in the northwest suburbs who put forth a bump stock bill, period.
And it was a clean bump stock bill.
That was all
nothing,
it was.
Yeah,
right.
There was nothing, there was no magazine bans or anything else attached to it. Yeah.
So what happened is Democrats who really did not want to vote for the other bill because they tend to be pro-Second Amendment, they had nowhere to go. If they didn't vote for it, Madigan's going to go, no. That doesn't work.
Right. You don't get reelected.
So they proposed a clean bump stock bill. And those people were able to go, I know I didn't vote for that, but I did vote for this one. I voted for an anti-gun bill.
And because it was proposed by a Republican, it was sponsored by a Republican, we knew it would never get out of committee.
Exactly. And that's it. And people
it's a
didn't
game.
get it.
Yeah.
They didn't get that.
It's a chess game.
Exactly.
Yeah. The longer you're in it, the better you understand it.
That's exactly right. And it's horse trading. It's all horse trading. And people would say to us, I can't not support this one, meaning I won't get any campaign money from Madigan, right? But I tell you what I can do. I won't support this one over here, and that means more to you, And so you're playing that game.
Sure.
So we don't know, and people like Todd, keep count. Literally, they keep count when they talk to people.
Absolutely.
He can tell you, I got this and I got that. We don't know in the final vote how it'll come out. Because there are people who will vote for it out of committee, but then when it comes up to the floor, they'll duck, they'll hide, they'll dodge behind or whatever.
Sure,
so we just don't know. But it does not look good.
Well, for one thing, the reason why we say it doesn't look good is some Republicans voted for the bump stock ban, and to the point where if Rauner vetoes it, they could bring it back up and they could override his veto. It had that many votes that if everybody kept their vote the same, now they don't always do that. They don't always keep their vote the same the second time. But, all the other anti-gun bills that were voted on Wednesday, to my understanding, none of the others had veto-proof majorities. Yeah. But that one did.
And see, part of that game is if you're a Republican and you're in an area where you won by a narrow margin because you've got a pretty big Democratic constituency, if you have a bill that's coming up and you're confident that the governor is going to veto it, you can vote for it.
Right.
Okay? Because you're hiding. You're saying, I voted for it.
I'm on record.
I voted for it.
I support that. I'm on record supporting it.
Governor vetoed it, right?
Right.
And then if it comes back around and trying to override it, you just don't vote for the override. Nobody knows that. They don't remember that. They just remember that you voted for the bill.
Right.
So it's gamesmanship.
It's the old I voted for it before I voted against
it. It is. It really is. It's gamesmanship.
It is. It's a huge game. And, I think Ron Paul was the master of that game. If you are interested in how these things work, read a book about Ron Paul because he played the game like no one else.
It's old politics.
It is.
It's back in the days in the 50s when they would literally go into a room and smoke cigars and they beat on each other and they would come out, and Democrats and Republicans would actually come out with something, Those days are gone. Yeah. Now it doesn't happen that way anymore. But it is interesting. And the other thing that struck me again, I knew this from the concealed carry thing, because I watched almost all those subcommittee hearings on the internet for concealed carry. But I was refreshed. When I gave my testimony before the committee, the Democrats would ask questions and, give an answer because we believe what we believe, right? So they'd say, well, why are you going to do that? And I told a story about the woman who the guy was peeping Tomming her and stuff, and I taught her to shoot and all that kind of stuff. But if you ask them a question, they had no idea. It was their amendment or their bill.
Sure.
But they had no idea. I go, why is XYZ? They'd start digging through a playbook to come up with the answer.
Right.
They have no clue what they're doing.
No, they don't.
They don't know what terms are. They don't know what they mean. They don't
Well,
understand.
in so many cases, in Springfield at least, in so many cases, they're being run by Madigan.
Absolutely.
They're like little puppets or marionettes,
He's handing
and they're
it to
being run by Madigan, or especially in the case of Congress, they're being run by aides. Their staffers
Right.
actually write everything,
Yeah.
and then, or if a bill comes up and they get a bill and they have to make a decision, they'll write like an interpretation or an opinion of it. It's all these kids fresh out of law school,
Yep.
and they're interpreting what the next policy is going to be. I mean, the Dianne Feinsteins of the world are figureheads in most cases.
absolutely.
They're again, it's smoke and mirrors. There's people behind the scenes actually running this stuff.
Well, and it's like our newest addition to the Supreme Court, Gorsuch. He broke step. It's been a historical fact that I forget how many cases are go up on cert to the Supreme Court. Hundreds and hundreds of cases. And theoretically, the justices read them and rule on it, but that's not what really happens.
Right.
There's like a pool of people who do this, right? And he just I'm not willing to participate in that. That's we're the ones who are supposed to be doing this, not law clerks.
Not a bunch of aides,
Not a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And that didn't sit real well with some of those people. But
Otherwise, how would Ruth Bader Ginsburg still be there?
well, because she's full of formaldehyde and they're afraid to move her.
They just wake her up and prop her up when it's time to go.
She wears that little thing, right? That's because there's a pump under there that just keeps putting formaldehyde through her bloodstream. I never will understand how she was best friends with what's his name?
Scalia.
I mean, they were like buddies. They traveled. They took trips together. I think you think they'd kill each other.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, now we spent my entire segment talking about this, and my action items are all about the same thing. So, sorry, you're going to get like a lot of redundancy tonight.
Let's back it up, cut it out, and we'll start over.
Yeah, let's rewind. Rewind 15 minutes.
We got 33 seconds to come up with something to say. How about this? We'll be back after a few messages with more on Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
In need of a ride to O'Hare or Midway Airport? Well, look no further. The Yellow Checker Cab Company is the cab company for you. With the Yellow Checker Cab Company, you will always be greeted by a friendly face and arrive safely and on time for your flight. Start your trip off right by taking advantage of one of their limos, shuttle vans, cabs, or courtesy cars. And airport trips are not all they specialize in. This 24-hour cab service will pick you up anytime, any day, for any occasion. From bachelorette parties to school dances extravaganzas to just a night out with friends. Yellow Checker Cab Company has the best rates in town. So sit back, relax, and leave the driving to the professionals. Once you experience their fast and affordable cab service, you'll be a customer for life. When it comes to cab companies, be sure to choose Yellow Checker Cab because you have the right to expect certain things from your cab company. For further information or to book your trip today, call 815-744-2900. That's 815-744-2900.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life. Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
From the ISRA, it is time to call Governor Rauner. Please politely call the Office of Constituent Affairs at 217-782-0244 and ask the Governor to veto both gun dealer licensing bills, SB 1657 and HB 1273. Several anti-gun bills were passed by the State House on February 28th. Contact your senator and urge them to oppose HB 1465, raising the age for purchases of assault rifles, high-capacity magazines, and 50 caliber rifles to 21, HB 1467, banning bump stocks, and HB 1468, enacting a 72-hour waiting period to transfer assault weapons. On February 27th, Senate Bill 559, which allows for the seizure of firearms without due process, was scheduled for its third reading in the Senate. Under this bill, an ex parte order would be issued by a judge based solely on a brief, unsubstantiated affidavit made by a petitioner and absent any input made by the individual on which the order is targeted. If enacted, this legislation would require the respondent to surrender their firearms, void, and/or concealed carry license to law enforcement. This legislation is ripe for abuse by individuals who disagree with the Second Amendment, and the mere insinuation that gun ownership makes you a danger to yourself or others is offensive and insulting. Please contact your state senator and urge them to oppose SB 559. Join On Target Radio at the Three Rivers Friends of NRA fundraiser on Sunday, March 18th at 3:30 p.m. at the Clarion Hotel in Joliet. If you are familiar with Friends of NRA fundraisers, you know there will be lots of fun and lots of guns, so bring your ones. Just kidding, bring hundreds and 20s. If you have not yet been to a Friends of NRA fundraiser, you are in for a treat. You will meet lots of new friends, and you might just win a gun. Individual dinner tickets are $50. Table and raffle ticket packages are also available. For more information, go to friendsofnra.org or email threeriversfnra@gmail.com or call 815-274-1128. The following Safe for USA class is at our facility in Waterman. Saturday and Sunday, April 7th and 8th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry as well as Florida and Arizona. To sign up for classes, go to SafeForUSA.com and click on Register.
We haven't really decided if we're going to do the show from there yet, have we?
No, I don't think we have anything definitive.
No.
We know we can, but
We should take a vote.
we could do that.
See if, is anybody listening to us?
Right. We have actually like 27 people today.
Oh my gosh, I got like 3 messages on Facebook.
And we'll get a couple hundred. We should, if people think that we should put the show out from what is Three Rivers?
Mm-hmm.
I think we could do a poll on Facebook.
That's what I'm saying. We'll do it. See what people
do
go. Should we do the show live from Friends of the NRA dinner?
Mike,
Here's me eating chicken.
Mike says do it.
Yeah.
Which Mike is that?
Do you want me to say his last name? You
Why
never
not?
want me to say last name.
Is it on Facebook?
Yes.
Well, it's public.
Mike Kierlever.
I don't think I know him. Is he an AC? I don't know. Well, Mike, that's one.
That's one.
That's one. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what people say. Of course, you know, it's always, there's no task so great that the person who doesn't have to do it can pose it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sweden. There's no task so great that the people who don't have to do it. Okay, that's my segue into Sweden.
Let's not worry about a segue. The segue is you took all my time, and so now we have to race through these 3 articles.
Well, that's okay.
Mike is impressed that I got his last name right. I'm German. So in Sweden,
Scarier than you think.
Of course, we know in Sweden they've been having problems with the immigrants.
They welcome immigrants.
Highly euphemistically called immigrants,
Yeah.
which are mostly overwhelmingly Muslim, and now they're having a lot of incidents involving hand grenades. Apparently, they're getting a lot of hand grenades.
They have gun laws.
They
Apparently
have
no hand grenade laws.
They do, yeah. And so there have been more than 100 incidents involving military-grade explosives in the Stockholm metro area that they're calling it an arms race among immigrant gangs. There were only a few such incidents in Sweden up until 2014, which is, we know what happened in 2014. But since then, the number of explosions and seizures of grenades has shot up and remained very, very high. But before, when Trump talked about the problems in Sweden, the New York Times, told him he was full of crap. And now they're finally admitting it, although they declined to use the words Muslim or refugee.
Oh, of course not, because that's, you can't do that.
That wouldn't be PC.
Right, no. You remember it was Sweden that excoriated the United States, saying that we were xenophobic and we were a wealthy country and we weren't opening our arms, and Sweden is very good about taking in immigrants and protecting them and taking care of them. Now, apparently, now they're going, well, maybe it wasn't the best idea we've ever had, because they're raping people by the score. And hand grenades, they have gun control.
The percentage of women who reported being victims of sex crimes went up almost 300%. From 2014 to 2016.
But not because of the immigrants, of course. No. Because Swedish men, for the first time in history, suddenly all became rapists. It was in the water, okay? They just drank something and they all became rapists.
Right.
But not that poor immigrants.
It's not because the 100,000 asylum seekers from predominantly Muslim nations that they let in.
No, you're a racist.
Doesn't have anything to do with that. It's very taboo in Sweden to link immigrants with crime.
It says a veteran police officer was investigated in 2017 for inciting racial hatred after he authored a popular Facebook post describing how the violent crimes he was investigating were committed by immigrants. It was just factual stuff he put on Facebook.
Yeah, he's a detective, and he says the violent crimes he is investigating were committed by immigrants from Iraq, Turkey, Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia, Syria again, Somalia, unknown country, Sweden.
See, Sweden, they're responsible.
There was one,
Right, that's it.
There was one Swede in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, basically they have a little summary at the beginning of this. The New York Times reported Sunday on the increasing problem of immigrant gangs in Sweden. They previously criticized Donald Trump for commenting on the problem over a year ago, but they took great pains not to mention where the violence was coming from.
Yeah, Trump predicts this a year ago. Well, you're racist, you're no good, and what? This is exactly what they got. And now they're going. There was somebody did a video. It was on Facebook where he was in Sweden. He was actually calling for help. He's a chief of police, and he said, "I can't handle it. I'm over my ears. I got to have help."
Yeah.
Well, they're open to the immigrants. Yeah, these people are insane.
Yeah.
You don't hear much from Germany. I don't know if they're all dead or what.
Well, I think they're just keeping it a little more tightly under wraps as far as the media is concerned.
Well, that would not be uncommon in Germany, would it? You will not report this.
Yeah. So Delta Airlines found out this week how costly.
I love this.
How costly it's going to be for them to split to break ties with the NRA. So they used to give NRA discounts for airline tickets. 13 people ever.
This is my favorite part of the story.
Discount.
And yet, what happened to their popularity?
So the Georgia legislature removed a jet fuel tax break from a larger tax package Thursday. They were going to help out Delta. They were going to help bail them out, but the Republicans said, you have to kiss and make up with the NRA, or we're going to pull this tax break from you. And they said no, they wouldn't do it. And so the loss of this tax break translates into each discount costing the airline about $3 million.
I just think it's funny because Delta's image, negative image, the negative image is increased.
Yeah.
But only 13 people have ever used it. So it isn't that anyone gave a rat's butt about getting the discount, because most people never used it.
Right.
It's that it ticked them off that they did it.
Yeah.
And particularly in the South, where, Delta's headquarters in Atlanta. And people in the South, when I lived in Reston, Louisiana, every pickup truck had a gun rack in it, with a gun in it,
Okay, so just a little update on the Friends of NRA idea. I am talking with 3 gentlemen on Facebook this evening, and they all say do it. Do the broadcast.
Okay.
And Larry Andel says, go another hour. I will buy David's groceries next weekend.
We also have 2 on YouTube that are saying, go for it, Roadshow, yes, and yes, do it.
Did I tell you? I don't remember if I told you. Larry Andel?
Yes.
So, did I say that last week?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, bye.
Oh, and I also wanted to publicly apologize to Larry. I said on the air that he was an old person. He's not an old person, and I apologize.
Actually, what he said is he's not as old as I am.
No, what he said was he's closer to my age than your age.
Okay, it's the same thing.
Yes. Yes.
But that's okay.
But apparently he had said something a long time ago that made me think that he was an older person. More, in your ilk. And I was wrong.
He's not ilked at all. See, we got through it.
We got through it. Okay, so you ready for the comedy portion of our program?
I'm always ready.
I even found a bonus one on the internet. On CNN, no less.
This is CNN.
So Trump was the featured speaker at the Gridiron Club dinner, which I guess it's kind of like the
press corps thing,
the correspondence dinner. So it's not $25,000 a plate like I thought it was. So it's surprising that Trump agreed to do this. But so he said, he joked that Pence starts every day asking, is he impeached yet?
I think it's pretty funny.
At one point he said, I won't rule out direct talks with Kim Jong-un. I just won't. As far as the risk of dealing with a madman is concerned, that's his problem, not mine. It's his problem.
So he's got a sense of humor.
Totally self-deprecating. Actually, he says, my staff was concerned that I couldn't do self-deprecating humor, Trump said, and I told them not to worry. Nobody does self-deprecating humor better than I do. Which is hilarious. Trump quipped that the Democrats were the real dreamers for thinking they're going to win in 2020.
And Biden.
Yeah, he says if Biden runs for president, Trump would kick his ass like no other. Man, would he be easy. That's what I said. He said he was late to the dinner because Jared Kushner couldn't get through security. So speaking of self-deprecating humor, he made a jab at Orrin Hatch. He said, Orrin said that Donald Trump is the best at self-deprecation in the history of America, better than Washington and better than Lincoln. And finally, he said, you, the New York Times, are an icon. I'm a New York icon. You're a New York icon. The only difference is I still own my buildings.
I own the buildings. I love it. It's funny. The liberals they just cannot handle this guy. They cannot handle him.
No, it doesn't matter if he's soft, if he's hard. It doesn't matter what he does. They hate all of it.
And when they can't find anything of any substance at all to pervert, they turn to his wife's shoes. I mean,
I know.
How idiotic can you possibly get? Can you imagine? Well, do you remember some of the things that Mrs. Obama wore? The pumpkin dress and that stuff. You remember that?
Oh, the one that she wore, I think it was the night that he won the first election. She wore a dress. She looked like a Black Widow, Spider. It was
I remember that one.
It was
I
like
remember it.
had two triangles,
Yeah.
like red and.
Yep.
It was crazy.
And she had this pumpkin dress
crazy.
That was big and bulbous in colors. If anyone would have made the slightest remark
yeah.
about that, you would have never heard the end of it. It's a typical double standard. Anyway, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen tonight, and we appreciate it if you tell your friends about Checker Radio.
We'd also like to thank our engineer, Eric Allen, and our sponsors, the Will County chapter of the Illinois State Rifle Association, Yellow Checker of Joliet, my editor, Creative Business Services, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Safer USA.
And finally, we hope you listen next week when we'll be covering more red meat issues that affect your life.